Hey there, everybody. Sorry. I just wanted to say welcome to Get Creative with Coding. My name is Julianne Drummond, and I'm a teacher here at Club Hill Elementary. And I just wanted to make sure that I gave everybody enough time to get online here and ready for it. I'm going to go through a presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and share that with you at the moment. That way you can see everything that I've got to offer here. There we go. All right, getting creative with coding. Now, I know coding can be something that seems like a big, bad, scary word when really it's not. I took the opportunity to go and go to a free workshop that Garland actually provided for code.org, and that's what really got me interested in coding. And then from there, it just kind of, my interest in it grew. And so I think that it has a lot to offer for not only the students, but for us. And so I want to go ahead and share that with you and hopefully maybe interest a few of you in it as well. So I Get Creative with Coding, and my name again is Julianne Drummond. Just a little bit about me. I'm a third grade teacher here at Club Hill Elementary. I teach reading, writing, and social studies. I'm also our I3 member here on campus. I previously have taught fifth, kindergarten, pre-K, and first, so I've got quite the background. And then I'm currently getting my master's in educational technology and library science. So through that, this has been something that I've really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about and play with some myself. How can coding help? I know that we are 100% focused on other things, and I know that coding doesn't necessarily seem like something you may have time for in your classroom, but really it's such a great tool to use for problem solving that it is something that you should make time for. So it's a great resource to use in the classroom. It's something that even if you're not quite sure how to do, you can get your kids going in it, and they could probably end up teaching you. It allows you to differentiate and diversify based on student needs and levels. The programs that we're going to look at today are something that allow the students to move kind of at their own pace and kind of with what they have learned, and it kind of goes with their level of thinking, and it allows them to problem solve with fixing puzzles and allows them to figure out how to piece things together and how the sequence of the different challenges work. And of course, it is STEM based. It's got that technology component. So then why teach coding? This is something that I got from code.org, and it tells you that computer science opens more doors than any other discipline. Learning the basics will help students in any career from architecture to zoology. And this is the big thing, that 71% of all US jobs require digital skills. And high-skill computing occupations are the fastest growing, best paying, and now the largest sector of all new wages in the US. So this is something that we're not only preparing our students for something now, but it is something that the students will be able to use later on in a career. And there are very few jobs now that don't require you to work with technology. So getting the kids to where they are understanding how the technology works will only help them in the future. The other issue is this, again, from code.org. 40% of schools teach computer programming, but 90% of parents want their children to be able to study some type of computer science. And that's not necessarily just the programs that we use like Education Galaxy and iStation. It's getting them more involved in how the pieces of technology work. It's letting them see how these programs are put together so that then maybe one day they can start to create their own programs. It builds confidence, it fosters creativity, it gives opportunities in the future, it develops computational thinking, it's fun, and it also gives them a competitive advantage. My kids love having the opportunity to use the different coding sites that I'm going to tell you about today. And what is the best part of coding? Of course, that the students love it. My kids have been asking me lately why we haven't gotten to do as much of it as we've been doing all this test prep. And so I've tried to use it more as a reward than anything. So benefits of using coding, teachers, the ones that were the sites I'm going to show you today, teachers are able to create student accounts. Teachers can track the amount of minutes students have spent coding and what courses they are on. The students are engaged in problem solving. They're having fun with these challenges. And again, they can learn basic computer skills. The 3 resources that I'm going to focus on today with you, 2 of them are available through our Garland ISD Ready Hub, and that's Tinker and then code.org. And then the last one, CodeSpark. The FOOS is an app that I discovered teaching a camp for Garland ISD, and my kids, flipped for it. They get to create their own video game levels, and they can challenge other students to create the levels that they have created themselves. And they have so much fun for it. And again, the best thing about all 3 of these are that they are, of course, free for teachers. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at those. Code.org, it again is available through the Ready Hub. It's the first program that I've ever seen that really focused on getting kids to learn how to code. And they started the initiative, which is the Hour of Code, which has then grown to be this worldwide thing where they're challenging the largest school districts to allow their students to do even an hour of code. And with that, Tinker took that on, and they also have come up with an hour of code and some games of their own. It again is an online platform. It's available for our students through the Ready Hub. And it allows them to code through activities and games, which is the same as code.org. The best part of the coding is that the kids think they're playing games when really they're learning how to code and do all of these higher level thinking items. Then we have CodeSpark, the FOOS, and that offers kids to learn concepts such as sequencing, loops, conditional statements, events, and then variables. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these websites. As I said, code.org and Tinker are both available through the Garland ISD Ready Hub. I'm going to start with code.org. Code.org, you are able to choose to set up a teacher account if you'd like. And I know that there have been several other webinars done in regards to code.org. They have so many wonderful resources that if you go through these different tabs at the top, if you go through the different tabs at the top, you can yourself, which is what I did, is you can work through the programs yourself. And as a teacher, that way you can kind of see what your students are going to be up against. So I myself went through and worked through the courses and enjoyed it. And they also offer the Hour of Code, which are these games that students don't even need to have a login for. As a teacher, you are able to use the resources that they provide. They offer free classes. Garland ISD has put on several courses that you could attend for free. That's the way that I first found out about it, is I was interested, so I decided to go. We have projects, we have stats. Any of this stuff has resources that help you as a teacher teach your students more about it. But I want to go ahead and take you in so you can see what the teacher dashboard looks like. I've done this, as I said, I've taught several different grade levels at this point. And I have used this with, you'll see I have 3rd grade. I have my Camp GISD that I taught, and then I also taught 5th grade, and I've used this for all ages of these students, and they were really able to work through it on their own. The teacher dashboard allows you to track your students' progress. So, for instance, my students, sorry, it takes a moment. My students, I can track them and see, okay, who's gotten to what level. I can see who's struggling with what concepts such as looping or some of the, I know looping doesn't make a lot of sense if you're not quite sure what the coding is. But the best part of it is that you are able to see how your students are working with it. And you don't have to be the one to problem solve. This is something that they really, really, really can do on their own. And when I've talked to my teachers at my school about it, a lot of them get real nervous and they think, well, I don't know anything about teaching computer science, or I don't know anything about teaching coding. And it's really not about you knowing it as much as giving the students the opportunity to be able to try out and challenge themselves on their own. So I can manage students here. I can add students in. You can track their progress. You can see what they're struggling with. You can get certificates for them through this dashboard. But the best thing is for these students, even getting them to go to something, if you don't want to create the student accounts, allowing them to go to the Code Studio is something that is fun and they can work through themselves. So we have, there's a game lab, an app lab, an artist, and a play lab. And you getting to allow your students to go through the play lab will get them introduced to some of the coding concepts, which will then kind of spark their interest and want them to go through it alone. This is an example of what their screen will look like when they are coding. They get to choose the different actions to tell, and this one was fun because the kids get to choose their characters too. This is an example of a project. If you don't want them to create a project, you can allow the students, I'm going to log out and show you Code Studio. You can allow the students to try Code Studio, and the students can work through Code Studio and some of the games on their own. And they love it, like Minecraft, Star Wars, Frozen, and then they have Angry Birds. They had, Flappy Bird. They had all the ones where the students then get to create their own levels and try to allow their friends to play it. So code.org is a wonderful resource. The best thing you can do to learn it is go and explore it yourself. Looking at the next one, Tinker is the one that's available through the Garland ISD Ready Hub. And I did want to bring you through the Ready Hub so that you can see how to access that and your own free subscription as well. You'll notice code.org is available through the Garland ISD Ready Hub. And then if you go down to the bottom, you'll find Tinker. And I just kind of stumbled upon Tinker myself because I wasn't quite sure what it offered. And Tinker is also the same kind of setup as code.org. The students have their own student accounts, and then you as a teacher have your own teacher dashboard. Now, you may have to go through and add in your own classes with your students, but you'll notice that all of mine are already added in here as well. So you just would have to go through and you can assign them different projects. You can assign them different courses depending on the level, the level that you teach. So I would, of course, mine are third graders, so I would choose the beginner and I could assign that to my students. And then I can track how my students have worked through it. If you're not into all that, if you're still a little kind of apprehensive in diving into it, then just going to this Hour of Code section and allowing the students to work through the Hour of Code games is wonderful. They can choose their game, whichever one that they want, and it tells you some of them take a little bit longer than others. And the game takes them through the different levels to where it tells them what it wants them to do. And if you'll notice this, can even be as low as kindergarten. I have just allowed my students to kind of explore and find the ones my girls will love going into the Monster High one. My boys have not so much on that one, but they'll choose different ones like Code Commander or the Debugger, and they'll choose the ones that they think are the most appealing to them, which makes them want to play it more. And what it does is it allows them to work through the different steps on their own. So it does an introduction with them. Excuse me. It does an introduction with them. It tells them what the problem is. It gives a whole storyline. And then the students are allowed to work through it on their own. Okay.
When a pet goes to the veterinarian's office for the very first time, it can be kind of, well, hairy.
And it tells them a story. And then as they go through, it will start asking them to choose things that apply to them. And then it'll come up with things for them to do related to the coding. Sorry, it's taken a moment.
Good morning, doctor.
Oops, sorry.
We have so many. Let's start by showing them the way to the examination room.
So again, it makes it into a game where they don't even realize that they are coding. And all of a sudden, these kind of coding techniques and the different terms that they'll use kind of start to become second nature because it allows them to have fun with it without even realize that the coding is what they're doing. And I know we haven't quite gotten to do anything with it yet. I'm sorry that it's taking a moment to load.
Abby loves bones. Let's see if we can get her to take 2 steps toward the bone.
Okay, so then it'll ask them to do something like using the walk command. And all they have to do is take it, drag it, and connect it. And that's what coding is giving the commands to make the characters or the puzzle do what you want it to do. And the students are able to learn kind of how coding works and what it means to program characters to do something. Now, obviously, I'm not going to waste your time by going through this whole thing, so we'll go back. All right, and then the last one I want to show you, and again, these are just kind of an overview. And if you really want to dive in, the best thing you can do, like I said, is go through the courses yourself and kind of even take your own time. And I know you're thinking, what extra time? But like I said, it for me was even fun to get to learn about it. So, just sitting at home with your iPad, you can go through the courses and learn a little bit about it yourself. The last one is the Foos. Now, the Foos is an app. So it is not one that I'm able to show you the website. It would be an app that you would ask your computer technician to download or request to be downloaded. But I highly recommend it because, as I said, this was the one that my students loved the most. And I'm going to let you see just a little bit about it so that you're not as tired of hearing me talk about it. Oops. Sorry, let me make sure. Okay, try that again.
Hi, we're CodeSpark Academy with the Foos, the #1 learn-to-code resource for girls and boys ages 5 to 9. Our award-winning app teaches kids the fundamentals of computer science using curriculum developed by researchers at MIT, UCLA, and Princeton. CodeSpark Academy makes learning to code easy. First, we introduce coding concepts with our lovable Foo characters and interactive puzzles. Then, your child will apply their new coding skills to make and share their own games. It's so simple and so much fun. But why should you teach your kid how to code? Beyond building confidence in STEM subjects, research has shown that learning to code leads to improved performance in math and reading. So even if your child doesn't become an engineer, they will develop important 21st century skills with lasting transferable benefits. Have more than one kid coder in your home? No problem. Up to 3 kids can play with just one CodeSpark account on any of your Apple and Android phones and tablets. Want to know how your kid is doing? Our parent progress reports make it easy to track each child's progress along their individual learning paths. You'll be amazed by the worlds your kids will create in CodeSpark Academy. Learning to code with game design is an effective and fun way for your child to practice creative problem solving. Kid coders feel good about making something awesome while learning how rewarding it can feel to figure things out. Parents say it's the one learning app their kids ask to play again and again. And with over 100 hours of coding exercises and new content added monthly, there will never be a shortage of activities to challenge them. CodeSpark Academy has received numerous awards from parents, teachers, librarians, and educational experts around the world, so you can be confident that your child is both having fun and developing the important skills they'll need for their big, bright futures.
Now, CodeSpark the Foos is the one that my kids have begged to play the most. It is one that it seems to the kids like they're just getting to play a video game, when really they are getting so much more than that. As it showed you, it's interactive. It's one that the kids really enjoy the characters. And the coolest thing is that they have a studio that allows the students to create their own video game levels. So kind of just like in the video games that they've played, it's your own little Mario world, and you get to create your own levels, and then the kids can get the other students to play it. And I used this with a Camp GISD group that I taught coding to, and it was students that were probably around 3rd and 4th grade, and they would not put this game down. And it did not matter the amount of hours that we played it, and we challenged each other with the different video game levels that we were making. And I'm telling you that some of the kids made levels that I was unable to beat myself. Now, it does have an offered subscription that if it's a parent, you would have to pay for. But again, the wonderful thing is that it is free to educators. And it, again, offers that educator dashboard where if you are a teacher, you can, create your own login. I do happen to have one. And as a teacher, it is free. Okay? It's complimentary account, lifetime subscription, because I am a teacher. So once you get your account and you log in and you add your, you add your kids to it, then you can go into it and, you can go into it and you can go through the different levels. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure where it was that I got to it yesterday. You can go through the different levels yourself, and you can track what the students are learning. And this is kind of an example of what it looks like. It's extremely interactive. It's extremely entertaining. And like I said, the kids don't even realize that they're coding. They honestly just think that they're getting to play these games. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know we're getting kind of to the end here. The Foos, I highly recommend if possible. Once the students have learned a little bit about coding, and then Code.org and Tinker are great free resources available through the district. And again, you absolutely can get to those through the Garland ISD Ready Hub, and the student account should already be in there. One last thing, and again, this happens to be from the codespark.com website, this is why you should do coding. It's programming through play. The kids are 100% engaged when they're getting to do it. They will not be bored. These puzzles and games are something that the kids think that they're just getting to play with, when really they're learning just even basic level computer skills. And some of them are even more fun than games can be. And the best thing as a teacher is getting to see them progress and getting to see them do more and more with it, to where then, now that my students have gone through these programs, then we have gone and taken that to using our Sphero that we have on campus. and they are able to program that Sphero robot to go through the mazes and do the ramps and things because they learned the basic coding skills on these programs. So I know it can be scary. I know it can be something that if you're not fully comfortable with computers, kind of makes you go, oh, I'm not quite sure I can do it. But I promise if you jump in with it, the kids will jump in with it. And then the last thing, of course, is my contact information. If you do need anything from me, if you do want to know maybe some other coding resources, feel free to email me. It's jkdrummond@garlandisd.net. You can look me up, Julianne Drummond at Club Hill Elementary. And don't forget to click on the link or the one that my partner has put in the chat for you to get that CPE credit. Thank you for hanging out today, and thank you for taking the time to listen to all I had to say, and we appreciate it. Y'all have a good afternoon.